going to talk about zone strong core teams. I'm glad that all of you are here today for this particular session. Principals, at this time, please make sure that you have all key core team members gathered at this time. It's important that you all are watching as a team. The core team should consist of principal, assistant principals, instructional coaches. Some of you may have dean of students, RTI coaches, your Middle Georgia RESA, SIS, or your Godot SES. Some of you have, I think I already said, your media specialists as well. So please make sure that all teams are assembled before moving on with the video. Teams, I'd like to welcome you back to the 2022-23 school year. It is very, just great vibes as I've visited so many of the schools. I really love what you are doing, welcoming our students, welcoming the community back. But as we are welcoming them back, is one very important piece that I'm really looking for us to work on improving as zone strong schools. It's very important, and that is teacher capacity. Us building teacher capacity, the work that we do to build teacher capacity. So I'm going to go through a few slides and just kind of talk about where we're going with this. As you know, we always talk about victory in our schools. Today, our focus right now today is recruiting and retaining the right people. How do we retain? How are our faculty and staff growing from evaluations? And then a PLC, what does it look like in a PLC? And most of all, that's going to lead to increasing content mastery. So quick question, as a turnaround educator, who are you and why are you built for build? You know, Dr. Sims talked to us a lot about this, the MVP as well, the most valuable practices, motivating and valuing people, and then moving with vision and purpose. So today we're hitting on all three of these. The most valuable practices is very important. As we talk about building teachers, what are the most valuable practices that we have in place? One practice that I'm putting in as a principal supervisor is the practice of ensuring that core teams are having regular meetings and talking about the right work. I want to make sure that practice is in place. Also, we have motivating and valuing people. This whole session right now is about motivating teachers to grow. And then last but not least, move with vision and purpose. You're going to see a vision, and as you see the vision, which is my wig and my Wildly Important Goals, you also will be expected to get a wig, and then you will have the purpose. You will be moving in purpose towards developing, towards your wig that you've developed. Now, I share this slide with principals each time that we meet. This right here represents the brick wall that was holding us back from 70. As you remember, last year, the superintendent gave us all a charge that each school, if they've received 2 additional points, if they earn 2 more points on their CCRPI, that the district as a whole would break past 70. But as you look at this, we need more than 2 points. Hashtag more than 2. We can't afford to work like everyone else in designated schools. We have to come back in, we have to grind hard, and we have to be looking for more than 2 points. Our kids need us working at a faster pace, at a faster rate, and with a more efficient mindset. Now, this slide represents just how far each one of our schools are from 70. Look how close you are to 70. We have some work to do. We have some work to get in, and today's session is about that. And you'll also notice that we talk about hashtag daily evidence. Hashtag daily evidence is important. We began this last year talking about hashtag daily evidence. Are the students that walk into that classroom better as a result of walking into that classroom? Each day, they should know more today than they did yesterday. Can you prove it? Can your teachers prove it? It's hashtag daily evidence. Now, this is my personal mission and vision statements slide that I share with the principals. I'm a catalyst. I'm dedicated to serve as a catalyst for school improvement, ensuring optimal achievement and growth of each student in a world of uncertainty and change. And my vision is that each school will create an atmosphere conducive to producing students of integrity, ready to be enrolled, enlisted, and employed. That's my vision. That's what I see happening on a daily basis. So while I have that, I also want to know this. What is your core team's mission and vision? Have you all sat down and decided what is our mission and our vision as a core team? Sonia Coley over at John R. Lewis, she's done some work with this with her team. She's been doing some work to help them to develop and establish the mission and the vision for the core team. And so it's very important that you go through it as well. The values, the beliefs, and the strengths. It's important that you know the strengths of your team, especially as we move through here, because it's also important to identify the weaknesses as well, so that you will know your areas of growth. Now, everyone knows Simon Sinek's why. We talk about the why, and there's been a big spiel about the why for so many years now, for several years now, and we talk about the why. The principal shares the why. That's through the shared vision of teaching and learning. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why do we have these strategies and these practices in place? Is included in each school's shared vision of teaching and learning that the principal puts out. That's the why. Now, the what? What are teachers learning and what are teachers doing and what are students learning? That's the what in all of this. What are teachers doing daily for hashtag daily evidence? And then what are students learning? Do we know they have hashtag daily evidence that they're learning each and every day? But there's one piece that we've been missing out on here in Bibb County, and especially with our Zone Strong schools. The how. The how. This is where our instructional coaches and our support staff, Godot and Middle Georgia Risa, we are missing out on teaching teachers how to do it. We don't give enough time. We're not providing enough time for how pedagogy should be implemented within the classroom. We're not teaching teachers about how students learn best, and then allowing teachers to go back in and implement those practices. The how. This has been a major piece, and so that's what the focus is right now. Let's look at this, you all. I told you all I created a weed. This is my weed. To increase the percentage of teachers rated as a Tier 1 strong teacher from 41% in July of 2022 to 90% by February 2023. By February 2023. Now, why is that important? That's important because as you're working to develop your teachers, by February, right before we get into the sweet spot, right before students get ready to take the milestone, teachers should be working at optimal level. And if they're not, that's also a time to start recruiting the right teachers who can take their place. But you've been working towards that. So that's my wig. A lagging measure is TEACS. But I want you to see down here my lead measure. That's what's very important to me. My lead measure is to increase the percentage of principals meeting weekly with core teams and providing reflection, guidance, and next steps from 15% in 2022 to 100% by March 2023. I'm looking for principals to meet with core teams and provide the right meeting, provide the right tone. And in turn, I'm looking for the support staff, assistant principals, instructional coaches, Middle Georgia Reset, everyone walking out with a game plan, knowing exactly what to do. And so when I focus on my lead measure, I'm saying that if I do this and if the principals are having the right meeting, then teachers rated as Tier 1 strongs will increase and we'll move to the 90%. So I gave all principals, I know some of you on the core team have already seen this before, the MTSS as applied to teachers, and we talked about rating the teachers and tiering them. I want you to understand, we talked about tiering the teachers, but I need everybody to understand that as we move forward in this meeting, I'm not talking about tiering teachers for negativity. I'm talking about us rating our teachers for improvement. We need positive vibes only. I only want positive vibes as we're thinking about this. How can we grow? The mindset has to be growth. If you're thinking about growth, you can't be thinking about all the negative things. We need to inspire, we need to motivate teachers to grow. So, let's look at this. Principals know we gave this out. This is a list of all of the numbers that each principal, each school submitted to me that said that these teachers were Tier 1 strong. Out of 585 teachers in our Zone Strong schools, there were 41% that we said were Tier 1 strong. So now I begin to question, I begin to wonder, Do we truly have 41%? Are 41% of our teachers really tier 1 strong? That's a question that we all have to ask, because what does it take? We're looking for growth on STAR exams. We're looking at to see how teachers are closing the gap on district unit benchmarks. We're really looking for effective teachers that are doing the work. They have the evidence to be listed here. Yes, you also notice I'm going to be collecting the number in September, October, November, and December. I will continue to keep this scoreboard active, and principals and core teams will continue to submit the numbers to me based on your growth and development of teachers that are moving into tier 1. But guess what? Y'all gave me 585, 244. Y'all, this was heart submissions. This was a heart submission. You all know we really did not have 41% of our teachers that were working at that level, and our buildings and really moving. You know, some of our data shows that, you know, and so it's important that we're not just giving heart submissions. So what we did was we did an activity. Principals got together in 4 different groups. There was a group A, B, C, and D. They began in their small groups to talk about what are the strategies, what are the key strategies and the characteristics of teachers who can move our students in Zone Strong. What does it look like to truly move students in our designated schools? What does it look like? And so they began to write their characteristics and the traits down on the chart paper. After that, we synthesized and said, okay, A and B, get together and synthesize your responses onto one chart, and C and D did the same thing. After that was done, we brought everybody back together and synthesized and made one chart. Why is that important? Because if we're going to put these numbers on the scoreboard, then everybody has to have a common language of what it takes to move schools off the state designated list. Our motto this year is from designation to distinction. That's our motto this year. And so, as a result of that, I'm not going to show you the product yet, but before I show you the product, I need positive vibes, y'all. I'm going to go back and repeat that again. If you're sitting at that table with your core team, this is about finding a positive growth mindset to grow teachers. You will have a scale and a rubric to grow teachers. I'm asking you positive vibes only. That's what it's going to take to grow. So let's get into what we developed. We developed this tier 1 strong profile. As you'll see here, there are 8 standards listed on our Zone Strong tier 1 profile. 8 standards. We have content expert, a data expert, guru of instruction, growth and progress, growth mindset, culturally relevant pedagogy, culture expert, and a challenging environment. We feel that these are the necessary areas that teachers need in order to move our students to the next level. Now, you may ask, so what are those indicators? And so, not in addition to the standards, we've developed the description and the indicators. And so I know you probably want to know what those indicators are. And remember, the goal is that while looking at this sheet, teachers would self-assess themselves. They have an opportunity to be a Zone Strong tier 1 teacher. There are 8 standards. 2 points means that the teacher is consistently doing it. 2 points. So 2 times 8 is 16. If a teacher receives 16 points on here, that is, they are qualified to be a Zone Strong tier 1 teacher. And that's what we're looking for. So the area of growth and the area that we really are excited about is we now have 8 areas that we have an opportunity to provide differentiated instruction, that we get to track and we get to monitor. We get to provide evidence and artifacts to see if we really are moving the teachers in this area. So please be on the lookout for that. I'm about to run this through to you so that you can see it. But before we do that, this is a very important part. I'm going to need you to rate yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Listen to me. We can't have a core team that has not identified their strengths and weaknesses. As your executive officer, it is my job and my duty to knock down barriers. I may have a school or 3 schools that may not have a data expert at all on their team. When you rate yourself, I need to know that so that I can provide the appropriate professional learning to your school. We can't sit back and suffer in silence if we're not an expert in one of these areas. If you don't know about culturally relevant pedagogy and your school needs assistance, I need to know that, because I can't expect for you to get out and to create a zone strong tier 1 teacher that does not have a culturally relevant pedagogy, or that does not understand. So rate yourself honestly. This is about growth. This is about us knocking down barriers. Why? Because we have to provide what we need for our students, and that's the teacher. And if you're observing it, then you got to keep it real too, so that we'll be able to talk and grow together. So you're going to be able to rate yourself, and you'll be able to submit that in, and we'll get it by school. Now, standard 1. Standard 1 says content expert. The content expert, they break content down into suitable steps. They explain how content connects from lesson to lesson and unit to unit. And they understand the expected level of rigor, skills, and prerequisite skills needed for mastery. Yes, they must master all 3 of those to be a content expert. Number 2, a data expert. Look at the 3 bullets. They analyze data according to the expected outcomes. They create flexible or cooperative groups based on similar data. Yes, that teacher needs to know the difference between the 2. And 3, they develop assessments that strategically reveal the student's strengths and weaknesses. Let me tell you, that's one of my most important ones for a data expert. Think about this. The teacher, if you're creating an assessment, you can't just have it as A, B, C, or D, because it does not give you a chance to reveal the student's misconception. It does not give you an opportunity to reveal the student's weakness. Where was the breakdown in learning? Where did the breakdown of learning begin? You have to intentionally create an assessment that will allow you to break down the student's progress or the lack of progress in learning along the way, showing what that looks like. Guru of instruction. We all need this. We got to get in with the pedagogy. So it says implements high-yield strategies into daily instruction. Implements strategies to activate prior knowledge. Demonstrates effective ways to check for understanding throughout the lesson. Do you see that? It is throughout the lesson. Checks for understanding in your opening, your work session, and your closing. Plans for successes and failures in advance for the lesson. The teacher has to plan in advance for when a student misses the mark versus when a student is successful. When the student is successful, it goes back to those 4 critical questions. What do we do when students don't learn? You're already planning for students that may not learn. What other steps and strategies do you have in place for those students? You plan that in advance. And then for the ones that are getting it, what are you planning for them? That's a guru of instruction. The next one, articulates and demonstrates the difference in resources versus strategies. Strategies are how you use the resources. The Venn diagram is a resource. Top Hat is a resource. How are you using, what strategy are you going to use with the resource? It is important to know the difference. Facilitates independent and small group work. We've been able to do both of those. And then transitions seamlessly. How? Seamlessly through the standards-based instructional framework. They have to be able to go through the entire instructional framework. They can't just have a great opening and then they never get to the work session and to the closing. They have to transition seamlessly. That's a guru of instruction. Growth and progress. They facilitate goal setting for class and individual student success. They engage students in charting his or her progress towards standards mastery. It's about growth and mastery. And then they create suitable intervention for all students to demonstrate mastery. What intervention is the teacher providing? I don't care if there's a gifted student and one of the lowest level learners. There's an appropriate intervention that each of those students can should have in order to move them to the next level. We have to be in the mindset of growth and progress, and then the teachers have to provide that intervention. A growth mindset. Y'all, this is big. You don't really see this too many times on a teacher observation, but this growth mindset says that the teacher commits and contributes to enriching all professional learning communities. They committed to coming in. It says they give and receive feedback to enrich curriculum and pedagogical needs. They're giving. You can't have adult bullies on your staff. Adult bullies are people who are adults who withhold information from others that need the information. You can't have adult bullies. You have to have a growth mindset coming in to give information to other teachers and also receiving. And then last but not least, establishes short-term wins towards the trajectory of mastery. That's important for us, y'all. That's very important. Establishing short-term wins. Every child, every teacher deserves to have those short-term wins so that they can see it along the way, so they see the hope along the way, so that they see building up to their future, to the expected mastery. You got to establish those short-term wins. Two more left. Culturally relevant pedagogy. This teacher is asked to implement problem-posing strategies to move students toward mastery. You can't have the banking system. The banking system is known as students sitting in traditional desks in a comatose state while the teacher dumps information toward them. You have to have problems. Students learn best from experiences. Students learn best from reflecting. You have to provide students the opportunity throughout some problem-based learning, some problem-posing strategies to get kids involved and engaged in the lesson. Number two, they model and provide strategies for student reflection, getting students to think and reflect on the learning. And then last but not least, provides opportunities for students to connect real-world experiences to the learning. They need to provide their real-world experiences. They need to be connected to the learning to see why they're learning and how it applies to the real world. Last but not least, academically challenging. The teacher implements, I had two more left. This is the culture expert. Positive, this is about a positive environment. The culture expert implements rituals and routines which create a risk-free learning environment. They provide learning opportunities for, look at this y'all, student to teacher, teacher to student, and student to student. Yes, that's right. In this learning environment, the teacher also learns with the students. The teacher is coming in saying, hey, I want to hear about your experiences and how it connects to the real world. So now it's not a matter of the teacher sitting at the front of the room in the banking system throwing out all the information. It's a matter of students with those problem-posing questions and strategies coming in, talking about it from their experiences, and everybody learning together. And then last but not least, the teacher showcases positive student work, growth, and mastery, creating academic galleries, like really showing, hey, this was the standard, this was expected to be done, and this is what it looked like. And actually having students to be able to explain it, as you know, explain their work and why it made the academic gallery. And here's our last one, challenging environment. The teacher plans using the achievement level descriptors or next grade level learning progressions. 2, tracks growth and mastery at the identified achievement level descriptors. 3, ensures foundational skills are developed and advanced for all students. That's more so with our CTAE classes, as also with K2, our foundational skills and practices in place. 4, activates growth in all students through critical thinking and problem solving. We got to have the critical thinking and the problem solving. And then last but not least, move students to Tier 1 learning with appropriate interventions. So these are the 8 standards that we have that teachers will be rating. The goal is that they at least receive a 2 in each one of those, because 2 means that you consistently do it. So you have an opportunity to look at this form with you now. Again, the goal is that 1, you go back in and rate yourself. 2, the next step is the teachers will individually rate themselves, and we have it on an electronic document. They'll rate themselves, and then the core team is expected to come back in, look at the teacher's rating, and then the core team decides if there are any other areas of improvement, or did the teacher rate themselves too low. So the core team will make the final decision. And again, this process will be used each time it is time to submit the numbers for Tier 1 strong teachers for our scoreboard. Now, you wonder why all of you all are here. These are our core team expectations. As you see this, we have our principal, our school administrative manager plays a very, very important role in this process. Your assistant principals, your instructional coaches, And then you have some additional core team members, media specialists, counselors, again, Godot and Middle Georgia Research. So now, the goal is a 90%. Zone strong tier 1 teachers. We're trying to get 90% by February 23. We are trying to increase the numbers that are working at high levels, that are teaching at high levels in our buildings. So what's the first thing that we're going to do? Again, we have our scoreboard. So what are we going to look at? The SAM. SAM, I've already given you a few questions. The SAM will be asking, what are the 1 or 2 big rocks that you would do this week to move our teachers to being tier 1 strong? They're asking the principal this. They're asking the principal this question and other members of that team. It's important. And Sam, the reason that's important is because while the whirlwind is happening, we call the whirlwind school, the principal has to stay focused on this question, increasing teacher capacity. You have a tremendous role and task to keep the principal on track. The second question you're going to ask, are there any teachers digressing or remaining idle in growth? Sam, you got to ask that question. You got to make the principal focus on that work. And then number 3, where are our celebrations and what teachers do we need to consider for leading professional learning? Sam, if you get that going, if you get those 3 questions really going started off, feel free to add some others. But if you get those 3 questions really started off, that leads that principal to having the right discussion with the right people at the table. Next, we have the principal. This is huge for me. I need the principal calling the right plays. Over here you see listed, these are 12 of the plays that they'll be calling. When they meet with the core team after the SAM has asked those questions and as the support staff is sitting around the table, the principal has to be able to call the correct play. The principal is calling this play for the core team to do. So for instance, if it comes up that this teacher continues to have low-level work, the principal may call the play, you know what, I want you to go in and to do a student work review for the next 2 weeks with that teacher. Look at the student work review and compare it to the expected level of rigor of the standard and compare what they're actually doing and walk the teacher through what could have been done differently to build up this assessment to the appropriate level of rigor. It could be that the teacher consistently keeps coming in with a faulty lesson plan. The principal may call to play, hey, I need you to go down and just help design a lesson plan. Walk through with the teacher. I need you to co-plan. And so the principal is calling co-planning with that teacher. Now, not only is the principal calling that, but the principal is asking at that time each supporting staff to put that in their SAMS calendar at that time. Guess what, you all? SAMS has hooked us up. It's all these plays are listed as optional descriptors. We're going to begin tracking teachers and what we're doing for the teachers out of these coaching cycles. We're going to begin looking at it to make sure we're giving teachers what they need. Last but not least, our supporting members, assistant principals, instructional coaches, and additional core team members. What's your job? You are to coach skill. We're coaching skill, we administrate, we put on our administrative hats for will. You turn it in to the appropriate person. We're tracking and we're monitoring teacher development. Y'all, we're tracking teacher growth and development. It's huge. I'm excited that we really get to see now how we're growing this tier 1 teacher. Number 3, we're always looking for small wins. Each one of those boxes on our profile represent a small win. We're going every week, every month looking for the next small win that a teacher can get as they move towards that mark by February. And then last but not least, intentional coaching. Be intentional. As you see here, I love to say this, engaging activities curtail poor behavior. Assistant principals, I know you have discipline, but what we also find is that the most engaging classrooms don't have discipline problems. So if we go back and if we are working to grow and develop teachers to implement engaging activities and lessons, it's going to curtail their poor behavior. So it all works together. The goal, again, you all, the goal is to improve teacher performance. We will not move students from tier 3 and tier 2 without having a tier 1 strong teacher. Find the small wins and motivate teachers' continued improvement. Celebrate the small wins. Watch the scoreboard increase with intentional work. 90% by February 2023. Yes, it is that important that we are laser focused on developing teachers. We are laser focused. I know everything else is going on in the school, but I need the core team laser focused on developing these teachers. I've also helped you out with a non-negotiable. This is a sample non-negotiable, core team agenda. The first thing on our item is going to be celebrations. Let's celebrate, these teachers that are moving up to the tier 1. Celebrate teachers that are getting closer to be tier 1. Our scoreboard is improving. Next, number 2, we have prior week updates. This is when the supporting staff comes in and provides updates on the play the principal called the previous week. The principal needs to hear how successful you were or what next steps do you need to take. Also, in your focus group, if you have a focus group, what are the updates from the focus group last week? Number 3, actionable next steps. Again, this is the principle where they call the plays, calling the right plays. What plays will the principal be calling this week coming up for each of the supporting cast, and as well as him or herself. Then we're looking at the big rocks. What are the 2 things that you would do next week for the 90%? What needs to be done, who needs to do it, and by when. And then we have professional learning. You all, with professional learning, you're looking for feedback. You want to review the feedback that teachers gave you on the professional learning. But then you need to figure out if you need to continue or revise it. One big thing that I noticed is that some schools had 30 professional learning opportunities and never mastered one. We can't keep providing professional learning and never mastering anything. Make sure that the core team is talking and find ways to measure if teachers are truly mastering what you're providing during professional learning. And then last but not least, other school specific topics. This is when the principal adds to the agenda whatever he or she sees fit. This is a great article. I think everyone needs to read it, Creating Powerful Principal and Coach Partnerships. The principals have already started reading this. The coaches that attended our conference, first day of the conference this summer, they've read it already, but I encourage everyone to read it. Now, brainstorm your possible wigs. I'm about to leave you with this, but pull this slide back up. But there are 4 rules for your wig. Number 1, no individual focuses on more than one wig at a time. Number 2, the battles you choose must win the war. I'm saying that the battle I chose for my lead measure to go back in and watch and monitor what principals or what plays principals are calling and how they're meeting with their core team is going to win the war for improving teachers that meet tier 1 status. Now, what lead measures will you do individually in your building to help make that happen? Again, the battle you choose must win the war. Number 3, leaders of leaders can veto, but don't dictate. Y'all, this is about us coming together as a team to really decide what our teachers need. And then number 4, all wigs must have a finish line in the form of from X to Y by when. I'll say that again. All wigs must have a finish line from X to Y by when. I gave you from 41% to 90% by February 2023. Now let me say one thing. I'm waiting on you all to go back in and resubmit your Zone Strong profiles. You all know that after looking at that criteria that we have, that I need you to update the numbers you gave me. I don't think we have 41%. But guess what? That's okay, because we're going to grow. And we're going to reach 41% and then keep moving past that as well. So I need you to understand that I need the team to go back and revisit that. Again, you all, we're coaching. We wear many hats. We wear many hats, but my primary hat is that skill. I come in every day to coach. I'm coaching skill. I'm coaching skill. I'm coaching skill. We will do administrative duties to somebody who's willingly not doing anything, but we're coming in every day. You are to coach. As I leave you, I want you to remember just how close you were. I want you to think about hashtag daily evidence. I want you to think about what is your evidence that you grew teachers. Now, I've asked the teachers, hashtag daily evidence, are the students better as a result of being in that classroom? But my question to you, are teachers better as a result of being with you? Are teachers better as a result of this core team? Do you know hashtag daily evidence that the teachers in your building grew and that they are better today than they were yesterday? With that being said, of course, always blessings to each and every one of our schools. I want you to know we're going from designation to distinction, that this is the best year we had. As we continue to implement this, we are going to make history in Macon, Georgia. We're about to make history. We're going to have the most growth and the most progress out of any other district in the state. Believe it, from designation to distinction.